Hello everyone, welcome back. So it's time for a new update, but before we go into the actual update, I have two announcements to make in regards to the book giveaway. So well, the books. First, I want to say that the winners have been chosen, the books have been sent to the winners. I want to say thank you to everyone who has written to me wanting to read the books. Sorry, there will be other giveaways. Also want to say thank you to those who already purchased the book and already actually read it and wrote to me really nice and interesting feedback as in like how important it was for you, this book. So I want to say thank you to everyone. The second announcement is also regarding the books. This is a little bit of a kind of a sad news since I just launched the second book. Due to certain changes in my life, recent changes in my life, there are positive things, but that doesn't make them less annoying or tedious or time-consuming and other things. So the books, both of them, will be available until the end of this month. Then there will be a break for a few months in their availability, and then they will be back online to be, available to be purchased. Sorry about that. That's life. That's how certain things in this reality work. So yeah, I'll just play the game. I will let you know when the books will be back online for you to get them. Yes, so now back to our update. I would like to actually start this this update. Well, I already started talking about the books because basically it is in a way everything connected to the books. I would like to start with a summary of 2018, and then you'll probably understand better where I am right now in this last 3 months or the present time. So 2018 has been a really hard year. It wasn't a bad year, it was just hard. It was just a lot of work on all fronts. And in regards to the second book, which really marked, all these efforts marked the 2018 for me, was I knew that the whole endeavor is going to be tough. I thought book one it was tough, especially mentally when I started to do the first book where I was. I never expected to go through everything that I went through. I know that, well, for most of you at this point the books are invisible because you are not there, you might not understand them. Why am I writing them? Unless, well, you're one of those people that can sense certain things. So at this point, whatever I'm talking about the books, it's just blah blah blah. So when I was working on the second book, well, all sorts of things are happening because, well, they're kind of connected. The books cannot write themselves like that, so everything is interconnected. So I encountered a lot of obstacles, things beyond anything that I thought that I would ever encounter. And it also affected my health because actually my left leg. And I don't know what, as I said, there's many things that are scary, and that's why I cannot talk about them. That's why I actually put things in the books, because it's a much more comfortable way to say certain things. And obviously those that are meant to get them at a certain point, they will get them. If not, well, later for those when you're ready. This has been really intense. And didn't really allow me to do much else. I know there's quite a lot of you that ask me to do more videos and other things. It's just I couldn't because this is such a big and important endeavor. And as I said, my left leg was affected. well, not just because of the position as I was writing in them, because also affects one's health, but let's just say being sabotaged, I don't know, during your sleep, things implanted in yourself, and stuff like that. And toward the end of making this book, it got really, really intense. I didn't expect to be such a battle to actually get this book out there. Obviously now I'm encountering more, so to speak, not obstacles, but I know that, as I said, things cannot be forced, and they have to meet the right times, right conditions to get to those that need to get them. And toward the end, it got really intense. I think I tried to explain this in the last update. My health was really affected, also because before finishing this book, I said, it's like, this cannot go on like this. If I'm supposed to do this work, this is too hard, in the sense that the limitations, the conditions were very, it's like, I need to change something. I need some help here to get this done, and things have to be different, especially if I am to continue doing them, because there's a few others coming along the way. And yes, they culminated into a situation where I almost died again. And but because I made certain decisions, and I fought for them, for these books, and for whatever it's about to come forward in time. I'm here now. And this is also part of, as I said last time, getting rid of death, getting rid of entropy, things that I have allowed inside myself during a time when I thought that life was hopeless, and there's no point in living anymore, and all sorts of other things, which, they turn into an ugly depression, and then death and other things. For me to go forward in time from now on, I mean, with whatever I need to go forward, I need to change rapidly, so I can reach that level, or the levels that I need to reach for every book, for everything that I'm doing. Even for each video, I'm bringing the next level and the next level. So from one video to another, there's work done. These are not just videos. What I'm bringing forward to you here, it's more than just words, me talking to you. I'm just offering you another piece of a new level of energy. And those of you that are ready to actually receive it, consciously or unconsciously, you will feel that. So that's why it's very hard for me to tell you certain things, because certain things are scary, and I don't know how to do this at some point. I managed to finish the book, and I hope that I will have time to rest. And it wasn't quite like how I expected, although it was a time of like recuperation, and still it is a time of recuperating for me. A lot of changes started to happen, like one after another, like or on top of each other. Like a lot of layers started to just like all of a sudden activate, especially like middle of December or something like that, when I was just thinking, oh, okay, I'm going to end the year, and I'm going to just relax right now, and then I'm going to make the video about the book, and then I'm going to present the book and whatever. No. There was so much going on in the background with all these things, because there's so much shifting right now. There's so much unclarity still in the people, but also because of the things that are shifting, it resulted in kind of like a lot of unclarities in certain interactions regarding papers and things like that, things that I have in my life, certain things to deal with, and I was just like, this is not happening. So as I was trying to relax, it was basically impossible to do that, because I would have to force the clarity out of certain people, out of certain things, because those things weren't available in those people and those things. And as we started this year, things started to change, because there have been quite a few shifts. So I'm sorry if this is a little bit all over the place, but the situation is quite complex. And actually brings me to the fact that I haven't really titled this period, which is kind of hard, because I thought I'm going to call it recuperating or something like that. But then as I was advancing and all these things were starting to happen, and all these messages and all these things what I was shown, it was clear, was one of the messages that came at some point, was you have to stand your ground, but then again you have to surrender. If you remember, which is a paradox, if you remember, I think I said last year in the update, this January update, but a year ago, I was telling you about the fact that I need to surrender. And what do I mean by that? As I go through these changes, my mind is being altered, the perceptions of a lot of things, because I outgrown the patterns of these lives, and therefore I can change certain things. As I said, I don't want to talk about certain abilities or whatever, because that's not really safe and it's not the time for it right now. But understand that my mind does not function as well most minds work here. And so that is, it continues to shift and to alter and to express other things, which are important basically for the future and what I need to do further. And being put in this extreme conditions, in the sense of this, like, sometimes these situations, they're not created because I have done something that has created unclarity or whatever. Those things are put in place to create the perfect environment, that it would trigger that shift, that it would trigger that that new realization, that new awareness to emerge, to crystallize. So certain things for me, all this torture that I explained, which all these things that's abstract in my head and all those processes that are happening inside myself, are because of those things that need to happen, those crystallizations. They happen quite fast. And that's why I said that it's brutal, because it's none of those like, ooh, this happy spirituality, this like la 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 ooh, zen thing. It's the real thing, and the real thing is very different than what most people call spirituality out there in the world. Sorry to disappoint you, but it's not like that. Especially when you want to grow your awareness out of this low energy field. So that's one big thing that has happened actually throughout the year, but like really intense in this past three months. And it was combined with the health crisis, with the leg, with my nurse getting shot, and all sorts of attacks and things like that were happening in the background. Trying to prevent, but then again making me stronger in the end, and then all this mind alterations and things like that. And at the same time, there have been certain energetical shifts that would do also interesting things. So it hasn't really been an easy time. Now it's a much quieter time, since certain adjustments and things have been made, but it has been really intense. I would say this middle of December until even 10th of December has been quite like really busy for me. And only now I'm like, okay, good, certain things have been settled, I know what to do, and I have a lot of traveling ahead of me the first half of the year, so I have a lot of things to do the first half of the year. So in this sense, this was really like the biggest thing that has happened, this alteration of the mind through a lot of like unexpected changes, unexpected situation that would like create this pressure inside that would force a certain, as I said, realizations, awareness, crystallization of things inside my mind. And what else? Also, I want to say certain things now in regards to the eating, drinking pattern. I want to explain certain things because a lot of you have told me that find this time quite difficult also to stay dry, or you're still writing me about the process, how you want to do the process, and I told you how I did the process because you asked me how I did it, and I told you there's some videos, you can watch them in order, please, if it's possible, because then you'll get the most of it if you follow the progression of things. And the fact that I always say, or at least especially in these last videos, what I'm trying to like emphasize the fact that I, at this present moment, I don't really do longer periods of like dry mode. I do have it throughout the week, in the, at least what I call it, the minimum dosage, which is a day, a little bit of a day, or almost a day, which basically happens every day now. But because of the intensity of the changes, and also at the same time of the movement of the things that happen in the background, I cannot really force that, since I need, we need that energy to make certain jumps. And now I'm going to explain what this is about. So I said quite a few times that here the biggest problem, this reality matrix creation, has been the loss, the huge loss of energy, which has created a lot of problems. At the moment, this thing is not really an understanding that you can experience at this level of experience, at this level of energy for most people. You have an intellectual understanding, which is good, but that's not the full understanding. The full understanding, well, eventually, when it's your time, you'll understand that this is what it's about. I do have that experience of that understanding, what that means. And that makes it is like even more obvious, but it's hard for me to explain because you're not there yet. But I'm telling you ahead of time. Well, I'm ahead, but eventually you'll get there as well. And what does actually happen is this, in regards to food, in regards to the eating, drinking pattern and the energy in general. But in regards to eating, drinking, well, pattern, is like this. The rate of which we consume certain things, it's much higher than the rate of how fast we actually replenish those elements inside ourselves. The dry mode allows for that space so that the body can actually heal and clear whatever needs to clear. But then the body uses its own resources much faster than it still replenishes. And that's why even when you do dry mode, if you still like not really eat what is considered, so to speak, healthy, you might feel like, oh, but then I'll have problems if, whatever, it doesn't matter what I eat, but if I eat too much, I don't know, let's say sweet or whatever, then I'll have cavities or something like that. I don't know, whatever. I'm just giving you a basic example. This happened, as I said, because the rate of which we consume things, it's much, much higher than the rate at which we replenish all these elements inside ourselves. Plus, those things are still not really fully working. They're in the process of rearranging, restarting and working properly, but we're not there yet. So therefore, well, everyone is at a certain level, and so we have to take care of certain things. And the easiest way, because still the energy here is still some, well, those in the background that want to stop things from moving forward, they try to hold on to energy inside people, inside everything, and it's harder to allow for that awareness to grow, to expand, and to make those shifts, and then to do other very interesting things which are beyond this limited understanding of like what we can do, what we can experience, or in what ways we can exist. And a good way, as I said, is like a good way to somehow shield yourself and allow yourself to move through this difficult transition, because it's not an easy transition, is have some vitamin D3 and B12, because, well, vitamin D3, what is that? We talk about light here. It's like, it's kind of like, it's very important because it will allow, especially in times like right now, because the weather, they're trying to force certain things with the weather. And whenever I feel like they're strangling it again, I just get some vitamin D3 and I feel like how, again, my energy expands. And B12 is great because this also is basically, you know, it's like you have in the kidneys in Chinese medicine, that's like the gate of life, where the energy springs, I mean, like expands into your bodies, like throughout your body. And a lot of that's why a lot of people actually complain about lower back pain, and because of stress, because of all sorts of things, that's also being sabotaged. And B12 helps that. B12 helps break down even the food that you eat, because also a lot of the food at this point does not have the nutrients that it used to. Most people cannot absorb a lot of things anymore because of all these changes. So it's kind of a weird time. So that's why I'm not fully breatharian, or what people understand as that. Also, as I said, right now, it's not necessarily about that, but it's important when you can do the dry mode, or if you cannot do that, do some water days or juice days. It's important to create that space inside yourself and also clean yourself emotionally, mentally, and in all other ways, because then you will start to allow your awareness to expand, to shift, to grow. And that's why I said that I started taking last year again after 2.5 years where I didn't do any of that after the process, because they were doing all this weird stuff and they were strangling certain things, and I felt like I'm just, at certain moments I felt like I was disappearing, and I said, no, I cannot really we cannot play this game like this. It's like I cannot put myself into a weak position, so I have to, I mean, this is not a fair fight, so I use what I can so I can go through this transition, which is not really easy. Also, I need this to actually well, break all those limitations inside myself, to help myself to break all those limitations inside myself. So that's why I said that I cannot do this right now extensively as I did it. I have, well, there's smaller periods where I feel like, oh, I could do now 2 days, and then again it's an intense period where it's just crazy and you cannot do more than a day or almost a day every day or something like that, and then again maybe in 2 weeks or 3 weeks I'll find a window of that I could do a little bit longer than that. And so that's, for me, this is not really something that I focused anymore. It's just, it is what it is. So and that's why I advise that, I mean, please, it's like, help yourself with whatever you can to go through this transition, so you make it as smooth as possible, because it's really bumpy. It's not an easy ride. Also, you have to understand that the fact that we have, I mean, because a lot of you are afraid if you did the process or whatever, you have this thing where you feel like, oh, I failed because now I'm eating, or I'm eating too much now, and then I can do this, I mean, to do dry mode, but then again I eat too much. And I went through those things as well, especially throughout last year, because that was really, as I said, was a really challenging year, because the conditions are changing. Also, as I said, for me, eating has been something that has allowed me from time to time to access some things by myself that I needed to clean, because otherwise I couldn't, because normally my energy is much higher than what reality is. So in order for me to reach those things, I had to temporarily lower myself to have access to those things and work on them or work with them to change, well, other things. So you have to be really, your mind has to be really flexible in this sense, to be able to do dry mode, and then again to understand that at some point you have to eat because you have to do certain things with it, and be always open to learn and to understand and see what you must see. So yeah, that's my advice for you in this sense. One of the interesting things that has happened in this past 3 months, in terms of all these changes that they were just like really like a storm, really violent for a very short time, really intense. But then when those changes were set in place, were put in place, then things like calmed down immediately. But there also were some events. It was an eclipse, I think, on the beginning of the year. I'm not sure anymore. It was on the 6th, or I don't know, something like that. I think it was on the 6th. Well, around that time, I actually had I had this dream where I realized that somehow I was back in time. It was inside this pyramid. I'm not going to say which one, because you might think it's Giza. It's not Giza. There's another pyramid actually at home in the Bucege Mountains. And I was looking for something. My husband, we were both looking for something, some keyboard or something like that. And we realized that we were back in time. We were back, like, it was 2012 or 2013. And I didn't understand back then what that was about. I understood that a little bit later when I experienced that, like, physically, being awake and conscious throughout the day, what actually has happened. So, and then being showed what just had happened. Due to enough healing, also you have to understand this is something that I access because of the work that I have done. So we all will experience a certain time or a certain timeline due to our internal direction. I said that, and I will repeat that again. It's something that you cannot fake. It's something that it is something, a direction given by your choices, whether it's conscious or unconscious. That, as I said, it's something that you cannot fake. It's a real thing. So what happened to me is that in this time, because I've done all this cleaning and intense work of transformation, I accessed a big reset. I've accessed a timeline or another outcome, so to speak, that should have happened from 2012 onwards, if the energetic condition back then would have been much better, but they haven't, because of all the things that went down since 2001, where they're trying to detract all this whatever good things. And I found myself back on course because of all these things, and also the new input of energy that happened at the beginning of the year. But also, as I said, that wouldn't have been possible unless the work that I have done so far. And I then realized, not just realized, I then saw, because as I said, I think I tried to explain to you last year that even how I see things, certain things have more light in them or not, and then I know certain differences in certain different realities, where which one is which. And that was another thing. Another thing also that I told you is that even if I close my eyes, there's moments where I see a lot of light, especially when I am in contact with, let's say, another field, but it's more than just that. I mean, field of reality. So that has been again very intense. and whenever I close my eyes, I see even more light right now, because the timeline has changed, and it's a much better one. It's a much better timeline that leads to even better things. So that was actually a nice surprise, something that I haven't really expected, because all the other intense, weird things that have happened until that moment. And yeah, this has come as a big surprise to see that. It's like, wow, so actually I can access that thing that I was supposed to access even a few years back. So that was another major thing that has happened. Also, because of these changes and because of this rapid alterations of my awareness, of my mind, I don't experience time anymore. I tried to explain you in previous updates that my perceptions of time and how times work has been changed and continue to change. Now it's like I'm suspended. I'm nowhere. I'm really nowhere outside of time right now. It's just I just see the reality for what it is and what actually time is, which is energy accretion. And it's very interesting. It's a very interesting perspective to have. But then again, being suspended, it feels weird, because it's much harder for me. Again, it's once more, again, it's like hard to operate in this reality where I still need to operate. So yeah, that's another big thing that has happened. If you have made it to the end of this video, I have a message to you. Well, to you, whoever you are, whether you see this video in a month from now, in a year, in 5 or 10, by then all the books will have been written. This message is for those that actually can bypass distortion, all these filters like your own ignorance, your own inertia, and things like that, and see truth in my words. Well, know this: I will leave enough clues in the books. I will leave enough tools in these videos, also in the blog post. You just have to watch the videos as many times as you want, or as you can, or as you feel like you need to. Read the books, the blog posts that will be from now on and also from before. Do all that, and most importantly, do the work. Do the work of cleaning yourself in all ways possible. And hopefully, one day, I will meet you on the other side. That was it. See you next time. Ciao.